This is Adelaide's National 9 News with Georgina McGuinness.
Armed police confront protesters during ugly scenes at Baxter. A crack military operation stops a suspected drug ship, and Adelaide's Easter services celebrate the resurrection of Christ. Good evening. Also tonight, Darren Lehman realises a lifelong dream, hitting his maiden Test century in the West Indies. But first tonight, police have been involved in another violent clash with protesters near the Baxter Detention Centre. Tonight, protesters are claiming that officers armed with machine guns stormed their camp. Gerda Yetsakovsky is in Port Augusta. Gerda, what can you tell us?
Yes, Georgie, well, it's all quiet here now, but it's certainly been a very different story over the last 24 hours. Police have confirmed they've arrested a total of 32 people over the Easter weekend. Most of those arrests were made last night and today. Protesters say they were left stunned by what was their final clash with police. Without warning, their campsite was stormed by a troop of Star Force officers armed with machine guns.
Everyone was really frightened, terrified. This is certainly the first time that I've ever seen machine guns being used at a protest, certainly against peaceful protesters.
The scene was one of shock and confusion as demonstrators tried to find out why the officers were there. This emerged as the explanation.
They stated that they had apparently seen a rifle within the camp being pointed at them, so they claimed, being pointed at the helicopter. And as it turned out, there had been a lot of witnesses who had actually seen someone walking around with a camera tripod.
Police retreated when they discovered the mistake, but despite the error, they've defended their move.
That's the response when we have a situation where there's a firearm, a report of a firearm.
As that drama was unfolding, about 100 protesters marched on the detention centre, this time united for a symbolic protest, the release of balloons and burning of the Australian flag.
But we can only hope that our balloons bring a message from the sky today of freedom for the refugees.
But that too ended in violence, Star Force officers charging upon those who refused to move off restricted land. The Premier says the federal government has agreed to pay the $1 million it's cost to protect the centre. He's also labelled those involved as ferals.
They come to these things to cause trouble. They come here for a violent frolic over Easter. Well, I think the public are getting sick and tired of it, and congratulations to the police for their work.
Last night, the demonstration took a familiar turn. Protesters again storming detention centre gates.
Get off him! Come on, guys! Arrest this woman. Hey!
Trouble was also brewing near the campsite, the roads littered with rocks and glass in an effort to stop police. 500 metres away, an all-night concert was held. An event protesters called Rock On against racism. Now, though, it is, as I said, all quiet, and the Baxter protest appears to be over. As I speak, the last of the protesters are boarding the buses to go home. Certainly here at the gates, though, it is all quiet. Back to you.
Thank you, Gerda, at Port Augusta. To other news, and a dramatic chase at sea has ended with the boarding and detention of a cargo ship north of Sydney. The vessel was wanted over last week's seizure of $40 million worth of heroin.
It was a lightning-fast operation designed to shock and awe. A sudden strike from air and sea by Special Forces troopers, bringing to an end a 5-day sea chase. The 4,000-ton Korean freighter Pong Su pursued along the Australian coast since last Wednesday by police and customs teams hunting heroin smugglers. By early this morning, after the Pong Su's master had repeatedly ignored all orders to stop, a small armada of Australian police, customs and defence boats, aided by overhead patrols from Air Force and Coast Watch planes, surrounded the ship out to sea from Newcastle. The guided missile frigate Stuart brought in to drive the message home.
Coming over the horizon at 25 knots and using our presence as a warship to demonstrate that force that a warship with commitment and purpose has a job to do.
In wild and dangerous seas, heavily armed Special Air Service soldiers then began their twin-pronged attack.
Very dangerous operation, obviously, with such large surge going up and down the side of the vessel. They quickly boarded the vessel and then sought to dominate by, obviously, securing the bridge.
The Pong Su's captain and his 29 crew members didn't argue. Sailors from the Stuart took command of the freighter, heading back to Sydney as police and customs agents began their search for contraband. The Pongsu's been suspect since federal agents in Victoria seized 50 kilograms of heroin worth $75 million. 3 members of the Pongsu's crew arrested in that raid. Another crewman found drowned in the surf at Lorne. Tonight, the ship's under arrest at Sydney's Garden Island Naval Base. The real measure of just what's been achieved in this remarkable joint operation is yet to be measured, but federal authorities believe they've broken the back of one of the biggest drug trafficking rings ever to operate into this country. Peter Harvey, National 9 News.
American forces have been dealt another winning hand as they continue to round up Saddam Hussein's henchmen. Iraq's former finance minister is on America's most wanted pack of cards, and he's now the 5th to be captured.
One by one, the house of cards is coming down. But this was not just any card. Hikmat al-Azawi was Iraq's finance minister. He could lead the US to the billions Saddam Hussein siphoned off overseas. But as these Marines found, there's no shortage of cash hidden inside Iraq. In a sealed cottage in an exclusive Baghdad suburb, they found more than $1 billion stashed away in tin boxes. The loot is thought to have been put there by fleeing members of the Republican Guard. There's now been a changing of the Guard here in Baghdad. Marines have begun their withdrawal. Control is now in the hands of America's regular army, which will jointly patrol the capital with the new, or as some believe, old police force. On the surface, it's handshakes and cheers as the army rolled into town, but the reality is these soldiers are now just being tolerated. Their presence, however, will be vital. These Iraqi volunteer soldiers are being trained by the Americans to safely detonate ammunition. Elsewhere, life in Baghdad is continuing to slowly return to normal. There are more people on the streets, buying produce from a growing number of stalls reopening.
People in Baghdad are finding it easier to get the essentials of daily life, but one product in particular is ironically proving extremely difficult to get: petrol.
In a country with the world's second largest oil reserves, many service stations simply have no supplies, as there are few trucks to deliver them. With plenty of cash changing hands, this owner carries his own protection. The reason made clear when a couple of armed local bandits turn up. They fired a shot, but were swamped by others who convinced them to give up their robbery attempt.
There were jubilant scenes in America today when those 7 former POWs arrived home 1 week after being rescued in northern Iraq. Hundreds of well-wishers were there for support.
Thank you for your outstanding support. This means the world to all of us. Remember our fallen soldiers. God bless America.
The pilots of an Apache helicopter gunned down in northern Iraq were overwhelmed by the reception.
I'd like to start off to say how overwhelmed I am with the tremendous support I got from you all. I'm speechless.
This makes you almost as nervous as being shot at.
Plans are already underway for a special ticker tape parade. And coalition forces are likely to declare victory in the next few days. Foreign Minister Alexander Downer revealed today that the final touches are being made to a formal proclamation of victory. Around 1,000 Australians will remain in and near Iraq, including the frigate HMAS Sydney and specialists to look for weapons of mass destruction.
You are talking of us having some sort of a niche contribution, but nothing more than that, not sending in battalions of peacekeepers.
The resurrection of Christ has been celebrated by thousands of South Australians. Local church leaders promoted messages of tolerance and world peace as Christians flocked to Easter Sunday services.
Traditional Easter services were held across Adelaide to commemorate the resurrection of Christ, the Catholic Church urging a message of tolerance and peace.
We can work with Christ in order to bring a greater experience and sense of peace in the world.
In Adelaide South, a more upbeat mass was held, aimed at the younger generation. The Easter message from the Anglican Church was one of peace and harmony. Considering the recent world events and the war in Iraq, the Archbishop has called for a resurrection of nationhood in Australia.
We need some focus on some very real positives, and I'm suggesting that the main and real positive comes through the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Many families spent the day at the zoo admiring the wildlife. Even the bilbies sampled their own Easter treats. The Easter Bunny made a special visit to the first baby born today. Tiny Eric entered the world at around 2 o'clock this morning, and his mum was rewarded with a huge basket of eggs. And hundreds of people marched through the city this afternoon, promoting a message of hope and reconciliation. Brad Watts, National 9 News.
We'll take a short break, and then the deadly SARS virus claims another 12 lives as volunteers give Hong Kong a clean-up. And rare scenes in Britain as bushfires threaten houses and destroy land.
Sport's most sensational showdown when Annika takes on the best blokes in the world. And the breast cancer test, hijacked by big business.
Do you feel comfortable with that?
Yes. 60 Minutes, tonight.
For years, real bread has been baked with extra care, using only the finest ingredients to achieve that unique taste. Over time, things change. But the way to make the best tasting real bread never will. Noble Rise. Real bread, real taste.
Buy this and you'll be paying interest for the next 25 years. But buy any widescreen TV and you'll pay no interest until 2006. That's right, pay no interest until 2006 on washing machines. What an offer! Pay no interest until 2006 on fridges. That's no interest to pay till 2006 on computers. But be quick, this big offer must end soon. Radio Rentals is South Australia's biggest electrical retailer. Now that's big!
How do you like your coffee? I like a gentle, easy drinking coffee. Something that I can just sit and relax with. Sort of smooths out the bumps in the day. Nescafe Mild Roast.
Introducing the all-new range of high-tech turbo diesel engines from Jeep. With tremendous low-end pulling power and outstanding fuel economy. The new Jeep Cherokee and Grand Cherokee turbo diesel engines will amaze you. On-road, off-road, any road.
Looks great. Yeah, seen heaps of these with branches all over the place. Well, we've been around for a while now.
I bet the banks must love you guys.
Well, I used to work for the bank up the road.
Hey, looks great. Well, you did it, Mike.
How's the real estate game, Tom?
Yeah, good. I've got plenty of home buyers that need a local guy to get their money organised for them.
Sure.
Well, hope that's the undercoat. No, I like it. No, it looks good.
You'll definitely buy better at Bilo. Coca-Cola 375ml cans, 10-pack, $5.77. Honest chocolate biscuits, 145 and 200 grams, $1.97. Bilo, extra value for you.
Continuing National 9 News, and in New South Wales, a rock fisherman has been swept into the ocean by a large wave. The 34-year-old from Sydney disappeared and is believed to have drowned. And a family tragedy in Western Australia where a woman and her 2 sons have died, also while rock fishing. The woman was swept off these rocks at Black Point on the south coast. Her sons, aged 19 and 24, jumped in to save her, but all 3 perished. There have been a dozen more deaths from the SARS epidemic sweeping Hong Kong, and the economic impact throughout Asia only gets worse, with Singapore now warning the entire country is facing financial ruin.
It's a disturbing sign of the times, Hong Kong's health minister leading a campaign to clean up the city and its tarnished image.
Personal hygiene and environmental hygiene are 2 very key important objectives.
It follows the city's blackest day since the outbreak began, with 12 deaths in the past 24 hours. 5 of the victims were young children. In Singapore, where 14 people have died, airport passengers pass through a thermal scanner which detects a high fever as the country counts the economic cost.
SARS will knock you backward. SARS may even kill you, but I can tell you SARS will kill the economy.
And in Canada, the disease has also claimed 14 lives, with 7,000 people now in quarantine. Still, the World Health Organization continues to try to ease growing fears around the world
reminding people the only way the virus can be spread is through prolonged close contact.
It's a possibility that it could become more virulent, but it's also a possibility that it could burn itself out.
Helen Kapelos, National 9 News.
Dry and windy weather is fanning bushfires across Britain, including this fire in Scotland, which has so far destroyed 12 square kilometres.
We've had high pressure keeping the weather very dry. A number of areas have only had 10% of their usual rainfall in that period, so the ground is tinder dry.
Port Talbot in Wales has been one of the worst hit areas, with 24 homes evacuated, while in England fires are burning in Devon, Cornwall and the Lake District. Well, time now for a big Easter Sunday in sport. Here's Kim.
There's been a bit happening, Georgina. Hello, everyone. Coming up, all the highlights from the first half of the Adelaide Crows clash with West Coast. Also ahead, Port Adelaide blows the Blues away with an Easter Sunday special, and Dashing Darren puts Australia in control of the second test.
He knew the law, but forgot the rules.
Daddy stole your car, broke into your house?
Kenneth Branagh leads an all-star cast in John Grisham's first-class thriller.
This is not about me anymore. This is about my kids.
The Gingerbread Man, tonight on 9.
Buy this and you'll be paying interest for the next 25 years. But buy any widescreen TV and you'll pay no interest until 2006. That's right, pay no interest until 2006 on washing machines. What an offer! Pay no interest until 2006 on fridges. That's no interest to pay till 2006 on computers. But be quick, this big offer must end soon. Radio Rentals is South Australia's biggest electrical retailer. Now that's big!
It's dinner time. You need something healthy. Which do you choose? Correct. Is that fish enriched with omega-3? Well done. Now, would you like that with... Easy. And the crumbs? You've made a smart choice. Bird's Eye Smart Choice. The fish fillets enriched with omega-3.
Easter Monday at Designer Direct will be pandemonium.
200 pillows, $6.95. Some were $20. 100 queen-size minx blankets were $130. Easter Monday, $79.95.
Easter Monday? Wow.
$70 quilts, $29.95. $100 quilt cover sets, $49.95. $100 comforter sets, $39.95. Designer sheet sets, $19.95. Some were $60.
This is one hell of a sale.
Easter Monday, 11 to 5.
Only Viva paper towel from Kleenex has revolutionary V-shaped ripples, making it a fast-absorbing paper towel for an effective and easier clean. Life's V messy. Soak it up with Viva.
Uncle Toby's crunchy muesli bars now have grooves to break into new, crispier, bite-sized pieces. They're a seriously groovy munch.
Why does one four-wheel drive receive so many tributes? Is it because it has a powerful 150 kilowatt V6 and ABS brakes? Is it because you can choose from a wide range of stylish models, including the new V6 Limited Sport? Or is it because there's only one four-wheel drive with the soul of a sports car? The 2003 Mazda Tribute V6 from only $34,990. Our best ever tribute to Australia.
Hello again to Football First, and Port Adelaide has overcome a scratchy first half to overpower Carlton at Optus Oval. Scores were level at half-time before an 8-goal haul in the Premiership quarter. The victory set up another brilliant game for both Gavin Wanganeen and Nick Stevens, who collected 36 possessions.
And having a bit of a
Plenty of feeling even before the siren, the Power aiming to break its drought against Pagan and Martin. As Primus watched on, his apprentices engaged in a battle of pride. Brogan taking early touch against French. Nick Stevens broke away from Koutafidis with 19 first-half possessions. The Carlton man Mountain briefly stood tall as the home side led at the first change.
Straight through the middle, and Carlton has its fifth.
That brought a rare smile from Pagan and more mistakes from a switched-off Port. The Power's grip on the game was slipping away thanks to poor boot selection and poor selection off the boot.
Occasionally, he misses the target.
But a half-time rev-up worked miracles, Port emerging with new footwear and new vigour.
And a long ball. Byron is back there, corns across the face.
The Power broke free from the pagan shackles with an 8-goal term, Wanganeen back to his Brownlow winning best.
From the back pocket, lines up the goals! Clean lifting goal!
And when Sean Burgoyne was tired of splitting the sticks,
Straight back to Burgoyne, goal! He's got 3!
Big Brother was lurking.
Stuck on his leg, kicks it with the left anyway!
Brotherly love in the air again when Kane Corns threaded the needle.
Look out!
It was bath time and Pickett turned on the tap.
Pickett along the ground goal.
Midway through the final term, the margin was 54 points, and while Carlton scored 4 consolation goals, it was the Power that made sure this was a black day for the Blues. Vicky Schwartz, National 9 News.
And for a pleasant change, the Power reported no new injuries from the match, leaving Mark Williams with an unfamiliar dilemma. Who will make way for Primus, Wilson and Treadray for Showdown 13? Let's go to the rooms.
We got a great result in the end. To come away from here with such an outstanding win was great for the confidence of the group.
We identified 3 players that what they were going to do, and this is how we're going to negate it. I mean, you look at the stats after the game. You know, they're probably close to 95 possessions between them. And
Barney French left to play at another club. The other 2, Ruckman and Brogan and Lade, probably were overlooked for French last year, so they had something to prove, and I thought they really did today.
The Adelaide Crows and the West Coast Eagles met at Amy Stadium earlier this afternoon. If you're watching our full replay of the game and don't want to know the final score, then look away right now. Here are the first half highlights.
With the number 1 ticket holder on hand and the 2 biggest recruits on field, the Crows set about single-handedly grounding the Eagles. Mark Rasciuto dispelled any doubts over his fitness, delivering in more ways than one.
There's a lot of space for Carey ahead. Wheels around, here comes the king, and he's going to get it.
Carey and Mark Stevens were causing headaches up forward, while Rasciuto and Ben Hart were just causing headaches. The sharp-shooting Phil Matera kept West Coast in touch, but Chris Latham set up a handy quarter-time break.
Long one, could go all the way, will go all the way.
A break they weren't about to surrender. As John Worsfold shuffled his pack, Adelaide's king played a hand he'd rather forget. The Crows' inaccuracy leaving Gary Ayres poker-faced. At the other end, the Eagles play their ace in Ashley Sampi.
Now a chance for Sampi. Sampi snaps. It's a wonderful effort. Freakish goal.
That cut the margin to just 7 points, and despite going to the main break with 14 scoring shots to 10, when Phil Matera coolly slotted his second, scores the level. Ross Stargett, National 9 News.
And speculation is mounting that retiring AFL CEO Wayne Jackson will seek a place on the Adelaide Crows board next year. Jackson wants to stay involved in football, and it's understood the Adelaide board will meet this Thursday to discuss the possibility of him joining the club. Meantime, Adelaide chairman Bob Campbell has urged the 6 interstate clubs to band together and fight the Eddie Maguire-led push for salary cap reform. Campbell says the non-Victorian clubs must fight what he calls the dark clouds of equalisation. Back on the field now, and today's other game was at Subiaco, where the Fremantle Dockers thrashed the Kangaroos. Last night, Essendon and Hawthorn chalked up their second wins of the season, while this afternoon, Freo won by 45 points. Round 4 concludes tomorrow when Richmond take on St Kilda. Darren Lehmann's maiden Test 100 and another ton from Ricky Ponting have put Australia in early command of the second cricket test against the West Indies in Trinidad. Lehmann made 160 and Ponting finished unbeaten on 146. The 315-run partnership was the highest third wicket stand for Australia in Test history.
On Brian Lara's home ground, Steve Waugh's correct call had Australia's captain itching to bat.
Looks reasonably dry, the pitch, and it'd be nice to get some runs on the board.
Justin Langer and Matthew Hayden sorted out the short balls before they were split on 49.
Justin Langer is a bit unfortunate. Ashoka De Silva has struck again.
The same umpire ruled Hayden trapped in Mervyn Dillon's next over.
The law says if the ball pitches outside the leg stump, they should not be given out LBW.
2 for 56 left the Aussies cold and the locals warming up for more. Darren Lehmann joined Ricky Ponting and they tore the attack apart. Nice on drive. Marlon Samuels gave Ponting a life on 37 and the Aussies never looked back. as short balls helped them make a mockery of the day one average total of 225 for the last 10 tests on this ground.
Cracked away.
Some of the Windies fielding lost its footing, while Lara gave the tourist tally a kick-along. The bowling blown away and triple figures seemed a formality.
Edged, and that's his 100 in carry.
Ponting, 16th Test 100, his third against the West Indies. In the same over, Lehmann's maiden Test ton.
That's it. And isn't he happy?
At 33, the team's second oldest player with 60 first-class centuries was finally living every backyard cricketer's youthful dream. Carlton Bauer had 2 bites at removing him, but the 315-run stand set a record third-wicket partnership for Australia before Lehmann departed for 160. Charles Christian, National 9 News.
Well done to Darren Lehmann. Well, it's been a disappointing day for the Australian contingent at the Rip Curl Pro at Bells Beach. 11 Aussies have contested the second round so far, but only 4 have progressed to the third.
A mediocre swell at Bells and an average day for the locals. The unluckiest, West Australian Jake Patterson, beaten by 0.26 of a point. 6-time world champ Kelly Slater made the most of the trying conditions, scoring an easy win over Brazilian Danilo Costa. In the English Premier League, wins for Aston Villa, Bolton, Birmingham City and Fulham. Liverpool won the Merseyside derby, while victory for Manchester United kept them 3 points clear of Arsenal, who won at Middlesbrough. The Red Devils hosted Blackburn and had a Flying Dutchman to thank for the opener. Rovers equalised, but a double from England international Paul Scholes ensured United stayed top.
Scholes again! 3-1 Manchester United!
Second half heroics from Arsenal's French connection helped them shake Borough. First, Sylvain Viltord broke the deadlock, and then a Thierry Henry special sealed the points. The Schumacher brothers have been able to put aside a family crisis to qualify first and second fastest for tonight's San Marino Grand Prix. Australia's Mark Webber will start from 5th. With their mother Elizabeth in a coma after falling at her Cologne home, Ralph and Michael Schumacher flew around the fast Imola circuit before racing off to a hospital in Germany. Ross Stargett, National 9 News.
And just a reminder, we go back to Amy Stadium for the second half of the Crows-Eagles match straight after the news.
Thank you, Kim. Xavier is along after the break with the weather for tomorrow. And if you're returning home from an Easter break, here is where to watch out for the speed cameras.
For your chance to win one of 5 double passes to Showdown 13, phone the number on your screen now. We'll announce the winners on Thursday's National 9 News.
Meet Janet. She bought a Simpson washing machine and dryer and suddenly found the time to develop a killer backhand. Next door, Teresa bought a Simpson dishwasher and now has time to discuss current affairs. Tanya bought a Simpson oven, and she then had the time to get to know the new neighbour, Tim. Simpson's time-saving features give you more time for life. Simpson, time for life.
Why does one four-wheel drive receive so many tributes? Is it because it has a powerful 150 kilowatt V6 and ABS brakes? Is it because you can choose from a wide range of stylish models, including the new V6 Limited Sport? Or is it because there's only one four-wheel drive with the soul of a sports car? The 2003 Mazda Tribute V6 from only $34,990. Our best ever tribute to Australia.
My mum's a real gem. What about yours? Well, she cooked for me for 25 years.
She's fantastic all over. My mum's a very caring person, so she's a real gem.
Grab an entry form from any Shield store. Tell us why your mum's a real gem, and you could present her with a year's housekeeping from Dial and Angel on Mother's Day. Why is your mother a real gem?
Because she loves me to death.
Mother's Day isn't far away, so show her she's a real gem with quality jewellery from Shields, and she'll feel... Are you a gem or an angel?
I'm a gem.
I solve at the living room.
I solve at the floorboards.
We solve at the kennel.
Whatever you want to paint or decorate, visit a Solver Decorator Centre and we'll help you solver it.
How do you like your coffee?
I like a quality coffee. One that's bold,
with an exotic taste. Nescafe Altorica.
Got a small collection of hubcaps here.
Why brochures? I can't afford to buy every single Holden that exists.
FE.
My most prized piece would be the model HK Premiers.
FJ.
This is sort of one of my oldies and a favourite one, which is the old Kingswood.
It's a HR.
It is a passion.
Definitely obsessed.
Obsession for sure. Pride of Lions.
An exhibition celebrating Australia's greatest motoring icon.
And the people who love it.
At the National Motor Museum, Birdwood.
Still the one and number one in Adelaide, Channel 9.
Well, good evening, folks. Today is the same as it was yesterday, and it'll be the same again tomorrow, which makes me believe there is no such thing as time. 10.9 last night, up to 24.8 this afternoon. Currently, it's 20.2 degrees, and the barometric pressure is rising. First of all, our cloud chart. Not much to see, generally sunshiny conditions across the state, although down around the southeast, thick fog developed and moved up as far as Victor Harbour and Kangaroo Island. While most of it burnt off the land this morning, it stayed around right through to the afternoon and on the water, and that'll probably occur again. Looking at the analysis, the high pressure cell still with us, giving us that southeast to northeast airstream, and that'll stay with us, giving us fine and mild conditions right through until Tuesday into Wednesday. Further afield, if you're heading out, Darwin, Canberra, Sydney and Perth, all expecting showers. Maximum ranging from 17 in Hobart up to 35 degrees in Broome. And in our state today, maximum ranging from 19 degrees at Cape Willoughby up to 30 degrees at Cayenne-Cutter. So for the forecast then, fog for the lower Eyre Peninsula, central and southeast districts, frost through the southeast, but it'll be mild to warm later with that southeast to northeast airstream coming through. There is, of course, on the warnings, a fog frost risk, I should say, and it is slight for the Coonawarra. Out around the country centres, 24 the top for Clare, also 24 at Kingscote, 25 at Murray Bridge. Elsewhere in the state, down to 3 overnight for Narracourt, 24 there. Victor Harbour, though, lovely, apart from the fog, with 21 degrees. And on the waters, northeast to southeast winds at 10 knots, increasing to 15 south of Brighton. Sea breeze at 12 knots and seas up to 1 metre at their peak. For the metro area, 25 degrees for Adelaide, Elizabeth at 26, 24 Mount Barker and Noarlunga at 24. And over the next few days, sun shining right the way through. The longer term is at this stage fine, sunny and mild. Here's Georgina.
Thank you, Xavier, and that is the news for this Easter Sunday. Enjoy the last day of the holiday tomorrow.
Yes, we'll see you again next weekend.
But right now, let's cross back to Amy Stadium for the rest of the Crows West Coast game. Good night.